Global production is down. Everything is doomed. China is faltering so badly. All these markets are getting no cars at all, except none of that's true. And I've got Mark here from the Tesla Life to share some perspective with us. I'm Brian. Welcome to Futuraza. So, Mark, I don't know if you've seen the headlines this week.
Yeah, all doom and gloom.
All
No
doom and
demand.
gloom.
Everything is in trouble. Yeah.
UK is down. Germany is down. They only sold one car in Korea for January. And I went and checked. They sold one car in January last year and one car in January in 2021 too as well.
Oh, so
Yeah,
they're just keeping pace then. That's good.
they're keeping pace. If they'd have sold one more, it would have been a 50% growth. I'm sure Tesla Q would have shared that with us. And just to clarify, the boat comes in the last month of the quarter, and one buyer invariably doesn't get his paperwork in order until the next month.
That's right.
It's not a big deal, but Shanghai had some interesting numbers. What did you find there?
Absolutely. Shanghai had wholesale figures listed at over 71,000 vehicles, which included cars that were both sold in the domestic market and exported for Tesla. So we've got a good amount sold in the country. The amount exported was about 31,000 and a half. That's down a little bit from last January, but it's up from December of last year. So a little bit of a mixed bag there, but again, still that amount of vehicles being pumped out of Shanghai is nothing to sneeze at.
January is historically the lowest car sales month of the year. Now, there's a reason I brought you on today, and it's because you are my friendly neighbor to the north. Let's talk about that Chinese Model 3. Fremont has started making them.
Exactly. Oh, we're going to do the Canada story now. Okay, so I'll do this. There we go.
Of course.
So, with the Model 3, Canada is now going to be receiving the Model 3 made in Shanghai. It's going to be shipped to Canada and sold. We've had a number of owners that have reported that they've gotten their VIN numbers and they see that the code is in place, that these are actually Shanghai produced. So this is not a rumor anymore. This is definitely going to happen. Transport Canada has been given the paperwork. They're going to add them to the list of eligible EVs for the incentive that's available here in Canada. And of course, they apply. So that's a big plus for them, for Tesla, because now they have the ability, of course, to ship multiple units to Canada if Fremont is constrained, because maybe they want to send more into American hands that could actually apply for the IRA credit.
So to clarify, the reason the U.S. doesn't import cars from Giga Shanghai is because the 28% import tax would be prohibitive. But in Canada, that 28% doesn't apply. It's a normal amount. It's something like 12%, I think.
Yeah.
And so those cars are, once again, cost competitive. The China operations are a lot more streamlined than the ones in Fremont. And Fremont is still ramping, and demand for the refresh Model 3 is stronger than it was pre-refresh. And I mean, it's the same price, but a better car. Have you had a chance to check it out yet?
I have not seen one in person as of yet. I believe they'll be getting to my area of the country, the Greater Toronto area, probably within the next month or so. There is a ship that's scheduled to land in your neck of the woods out in Vancouver, BC. And from there, they'll be shipping those cars by train across the country for delivery. So it's going to take a little while for them to get out to my area.
Now, I should point out that despite the hat, I don't believe this segment is sponsored by Canada. And despite the fact that you referred to Toronto as greater, I disagree. I'm very proud of Portland, Oregon. But no,
I would have said GTA, but a lot of people think I'm talking about a video game.
Yeah, of course. I would not have gotten it. And I am also not a young man. So now this bodes well, I think, for everything. This means that Shanghai can continue producing Model 3s as quickly as they can. They can send them to markets where the markup is the best, improving margin. They can balance better between Fremont and Shanghai production for the balance of North America, I see this as a win all around. Now, we talked about this the other day on X. Canada has already imported in the past, maybe not presently, Model Ys.
That's right. That was our first vehicle that we got from China, were some Model Ys. And of course, that had to do with the IRA in the United States as well. We up here had the ability to import them at a normal rate, as well as those vehicles do apply for our EV credit that we offer in our country federally and provincially. And of course, what they were doing with that amount of vehicles coming in, Model Y standard range, rear wheel drive and long range, both of those vehicles were able to comply with the EV ceiling price. And of course, that allows more people to claim the credit in both a federal and provincial jurisdiction, and in some cases, get $12,000 off the price of the vehicle.
And the price cuts we saw last week improve that.
That's right. Again, pushing it so that those vehicles drop under the ceiling of $65,000 for an SUV EV in Canada. So once you're underneath that amount, then those models become available for the full EV credit for both federal and provincial.
Now, does the retail price of a vehicle include VAT in Canada?
It does not.
Okay, good enough.
And another thing that's a little bit different is that these are after tax discounts. So the 12,000, you get charged on the full amount, then you get the 12,000 removed from it. So the government gets their tax dollars, their full amount.
Right. Now, there's a question I had for you on the Canada vehicles. Do you know if there's the LFP versions of the Model Y that have been coming in?
The rear-wheel drive version of the Model 3 that has arrived, I believe, is the LFP model, because there was a hit on the performance level of that vehicle over the rear-wheel drive model that came out of Fremont. So the speculation is that those are LFP batteries in those Model Ys. And that has stopped, by the way. They stopped doing the import. So it was only for a short amount of time. And now we're receiving Ys from Fremont again. So it's really something that Tesla is able to shuffle the deck all the time, depending on where the demand is or where the need is.
And where the tax benefits work the best as well.
Exactly.
Now, I had a theory that the reason they stopped importing Model Ys from Shanghai to Canada was because there are now 2 factories in the U.S. producing Model Ys. But you had a more compelling theory. Do you remember what that was?
One of the possibilities out there was that, of course, Shanghai recently had started to switch Model Y interior package to include the light package that's in the new refreshed Model 3. So they were doing kind of like a partial update on the Model Y's interior. And that was about the time that Canada stopped receiving that model. Was just before that partial refresh went into effect.
Now, I like your theory a lot better than mine. I can see why having that light refresh in Canada could create some drag on sales in the U.S. until that model matches. Don't let the Canadians have nice things is our motto as a nation. I'm pretty sure. I did have a question for you on incentives in Canada. Apart from the price cap, are there any other restrictions? Nation of origin, battery origin, anything like that?
No, it's wide open because, of course, Canada, we do have manufacturing here of automobiles, but not really of EVs. There's not many. In fact, really the only EV that's actually physically created here in Canada would be in Windsor, Ontario, for the minivan from Dodge, which is, of course, is a partial. It's a hybrid.
I owned a Canadian-made EV. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
I had a 2008 Zen Electric.
Oh,
yeah. Wow. Yeah. My phone reminded me yesterday, this day 9 years ago, and I posted a picture of it on X. And it wasn't until after I posted it that I noticed, I think my dog is driving that car. Yeah. I miss her. She was a good girl. So that, is there any minimum range requirements, anything like that?
They do, but of course, all these modern EVs at this point surpass those.
Great.
There was a question. There was an amount, a lower amount if it was a hybrid. So that was kind of in play for a while. But again, there's different statuses. If you look at someone that lives in British Columbia compared to someone that lives in Quebec, there's different amounts. And I, who live in Ontario, I don't get any provincial rebate. So across Canada, there's 3 major provinces that have this rebate. Ontario, unfortunately, at this point in time, is not one of them.
Mm. In my state, the cap is absurdly low, like low enough that almost no one qualifies on new cars. I think no one qualifies on new cars, and I think no Tesla, maybe 1 or 2 ever, has qualified for the used car credit. It's fine. We do get a discount on installing home charging, which would be great if my brother gets out here, which so far has proved impossible. He'll be out any day now, circa 3.5 years ago.
Yeah, I believe I've been hearing that song played before on your channel.
And he's retiring. He's announced his retirement, which is great. Now you've got time, Jim. It's okay. They don't watch my channel. Too many videos anyway. So, other markets are getting a lot of cars in now. Let me just put a cleaner break there. One last thing I would say, unless you've got something else, is there are a lot of other countries that are starting to get supplies of Teslas. So while the numbers may look grim in one country, that snapshot may be incomplete. We may not be seeing all the factors on the ground. We know Chile recently opened up for sales for the first time.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of markets that are getting a disproportionate number. That is great.
And you'll notice that just about 3 or 4 months ago, Canada decided to put their mandate in writing and indicate that we want to be, by 2035, all EVs. So to that point, it was just aspirational, but now they've actually put it down on paper, and that's trying to draw in more manufacturers to drop off EVs on our shores. Because if you don't have a mandate, it's been typical to this point that the countries with the mandate tend to get the more EVs.
Yes, and there was a post I saw on X yesterday where someone said Mercedes appears to actually get it and understand that they need to transition. And I said, it's easier to understand what the future is when it's in writing, when the date is concrete. Whereas in the US, the hybrids can still qualify. There will be lobbying to try and postpone deadlines. There can be a lot of last gasps in the US market, but the rest of the world still exists. But now Canada's got it in writing. So guys, you heard it here first. Canada has a written language. That's very exciting, Mark. I did not know. That was a joke about a lack of civilization. Never mind. Anyway, to your credit, though, all Canadians are bilingual, at least in theory, at least when they finish high school. And I imagine you have a higher percentage of citizens with passports than the U.S.
A great amount of citizens have passports, because if we want to travel anywhere, you've got to have it now.
Yes. Well, we have our own Grand Canyon and Hollywood Sign and New Orleans and Florida. So a lot of Americans decide, who needs other countries? It's ridiculous. It's crazy. I know a lot of people who've never traveled. It's wonderful. You got to do it. So guys, in the comments, what did we miss? What did we misunderstand? All that good stuff. You got to leave it so we know. Like, subscribe, do the usual things. Head over to Mark's channel there at The Tesla Life, where him and Casey and Patrick have fantastic weekly discussions on all kinds of topics Tesla related. So for everybody else, stay tuned, stay juicy, and I cannot wait to hear from you clever robots on the flippity flop.